You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, August 24th. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. No, it's not May. It's not spring. It's the end of summer. Fall is right on the corner. Football season is officially in full swing. We have a ton to talk about here on the show today. So glad you guys are joining us. However you are joining us, we greatly appreciate it. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic weekend around the Quad Cities, around the state of Iowa and Illinois, wherever you're watching us from. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the weekend as we get closer and closer to fall and football season and all of those types of things. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. We're getting close to 1,800 subscribers. So if you can like and subscribe, that helps us out a ton. If you have already, thank you. If you haven't, please do so, and then tell all your friends about what we're doing each and every weekday at 10 a.m. right here on YouTube, X, all over the place. So many different platforms, and we continue to expand and do more and more things. We're also live on X, as I mentioned. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're watching us on X, we appreciate that as well. We are also streaming on the WHO Plus streaming app. So all our viewers in Central Iowa, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for your feedback that you've given. You'll enjoy today's show. Today's show is a lot of fun as well. And also you can listen to the show each and every day on all of the podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast, put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You can listen to the show each and every day as well. As I mentioned, a jam-packed full show. We got some football to talk about. We got some baseball to talk about, and everything in between, high school, college, a lot to get to. If you're here in the Quad Cities, around the state of Iowa, in this area in general, you're probably watching the Little League World Series. The Davenport Northwest Little Leaguers doing an amazing job. They're enjoying a historic run. We've got a lot to get to on that today. Coming up in a matter of moments, when I think Little League World Series, probably because of my age and where I'm at, but I think of 2000 and the Davenport East Little Leaguers going out there. And Julian Vandervelde, at the time, the largest, biggest player ever to play in the Little League World Series. I think he was around 6'1", going out to Williamsport and doing so well. So Julian did that. And then Iowa football season is less than 2 weeks away. And obviously, Julian did that. An offensive lineman at the University of Iowa, played in the league, in the NFL. So what a perfect guest to start off the week than a guy who played in the Little League World Series and knows a little bit about college football and the Iowa Hawkeyes as well. So Julian Vandervelde, some great perspective on both coming up in just a matter of moments. We mentioned those Davenport Little Leaguers. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of what they've done so far here in a second. But obviously, late last week, it was Friday afternoon when Cooper Thissen made history at the Little League World Series. His dad, Cooper's dad, also the head baseball coach at Assumption High School, who just got done winning a state championship of his own. It's been a good time for Greg Thissen. He's going to join us from the Pennsylvania. I'd say Williamsport, but I think they're outside of Williamsport a little bit. But out in Pennsylvania, Greg Thissen will join us in a little bit to talk about what those young men are doing out at Williamsport and talk more Little League World Series. That'll be a blast a little bit later on in hour number one. And then week one of the high school football season is officially in the books in Illinois. It starts this week in Iowa. We'll talk more about that in a little bit and where we'll be on Friday. But we'll look back at week one. And one of those teams that had a nice week one, an impressive victory, was Bureau Valley. Pat Elder in his second year there. The Storm went 1-8 last year, but played good football throughout the season. You could tell got better throughout the season, and they opened up this year with a victory. So we'll talk with Pat Elder, kind of previewing Bureau Valley, and looking back at week 1 coming up in hour number 2 as well. So a lot to get to on today's show. As we mentioned, the Davenport Northwest Little League did it again. So they won on Friday. After the show on Friday, got home, watched the afternoon. Cooper Thissen, amazing. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, led off the game with a home run. They won 1-0. Then yesterday, they take center stage at noon on ABC, and it was Anthony Johnson Jr. Basically matching his teammate. He went 5 2/3, struck out 15, gave up 1 hit instead of the no-hitter, gave up 1 infield single, and he hit a 3-run homer. Davenport Northwest won 6-0. So they are now into the semifinals of the, I don't know how you'd say, I think probably the American bracket or the U.S. bracket. They'll play Wednesday against Nevada, I think 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So all eyes will be on them. Congratulations to what they're doing. A.J. Johnson Jr., fantastic. You put him together with Cooper Thissen, and it was pretty special the last 2 or 3 days out in Williamsport. And it's the first time an Iowa team has gone 2-0. In history. So they have become one of the favorites to win the Little League World Series. Can't wait to talk to Greg Thissen. We'll do that coming up here in just a little bit as well. So NFL-wise, the week 2 of the preseason in the books, the Bears and the Bengals played. Ben Johnson did play the starters. They scored a field goal in the first drive. Caleb Williams was 2 for 5, 28 yards. It did lead to a field goal. Running game was good on that drive as well. They lost 27-9. That doesn't matter. Tyler Bagent did not play. He's hurt. I think preseason wise, he would have got a lot more reps and they probably would have played better. But I know it's so small of a sample size, but 40% passing for Caleb. I'm sure there were drops or something that wasn't his fault, but it was 1 series in the preseason. I kid a little bit, but still 2 for 5 passing. Anyways, news this morning from the NFL. The Browns have named the starting quarterback. Deshaun Watson as the starter. Played horrible this past weekend. 5 of 12, like 36 yards, and an interception. And Shadir Sanders actually played good. I don't think either of them very good. But Deshaun Watson, for some reason, is the starting quarterback in Cleveland. That's Cleveland's problem. Cubs salvaged the last game against the Seattle Mariners this past weekend as well. They won 19-2 yesterday, so they got back on track with a couple grand slams in that one as well, including from Ian Happ, a guy that they're going to need to play better down the stretch in order for them to play well in the postseason as well. So Fever won last night. In Chicago, crazy game on and off the court. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Caitlin Clark, really good once again. I think 37 points, 10 rebounds, or 10 assists, 7 rebounds, something along those lines. She was fantastic as always. That snapped a 2-game losing streak. Fever get back on track and get a victory last night as well. So a ton to get to on today's show, and we're going to really lead heavy when it comes to that Little League World Series and those little leaguers out there as well. And like I mentioned, there was a perfect guy with Iowa football right around the corner and the Little League World Series. There's only one guy that could lead us off this week. So joining us now, an expert on the Little League World Series and Iowa football. You put them together, you get Julian Vandervelde. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Better to see your face, my friend. Better to see you.
Stop. If football season's coming, we're less than 2 weeks away from Iowa football. I want to talk a bunch of Hawkeyes with you here in a second. But Little League World Series wise, do you recall or remember this young man right here? This is
he looks vaguely familiar.
This is 2000. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. The turn of the century, baby.
And that's in Williamsport, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you were part of the Little League World Series. We got Davenport kids playing there now. I believe you were Davenport. Were you Davenport East? Why do I feel like you were Davenport East?
East, man. We were the powerhouse back in the day.
I love it. First off, when you see that picture, what goes through your mind? Do you have that on your wall?
I don't. I should somewhere. All of my Little League World Series pictures. We went to Rookies. Shout out Rookies, the old haunt, back up in operation to watch the Northwest game today with my parents, and my mom brought her photo album that she had from our Little League World
Oh,
Series
that's so
team. It was
cool.
just this walk back through time, flip through, looking at all the pictures of everybody. So I'm glad somebody out there still has these. They don't just exist out in the internet.
How tall are you there? You look like you're 7 feet tall. I remember watching from home. I wasn't even in the media yet. That shows how long ago this was. I was in college. I was probably a junior at St. Ambrose. And I remember just like, he's huge. You were 12. How tall
I
were
was
you
12
right now?
years old. I was 6'1", 235. I was the biggest kid who had ever played in the Little League World Series to that point.
Uh-oh, who beat you?
There was some dude from like Lithuania or Estonia or something who was like 6'7",
Ah,
who showed up 4 or 5 years after me. But that was the picture that they used in like the articles about me being the tallest guy to have ever played in the Little League World Series then.
I love it. With the team being there this year, and it's not been since you, but like we've had several teams go. I think the 16th from Iowa. Obviously, they become the most. I think the first team to ever win 2 from the state of Iowa. One, it brings up memories, doesn't it, of yours when you watch this
It
kind of
does,
stuff?
yeah. So yeah, we won 2 games. We beat East and we beat West, but we lost to Texas. Texas beat us in the regulars, and then they beat us in the U.S. Championship.
Okay,
This is the first team to ever go 2-0,
2-0.
and to do it, I will say, in arguably the most dominating fashion one could imagine. One hit over 2 games, kind of a fluke even at that. I mean, they look, not to jinx anybody, they look unstoppable. I'm knocking on wood now as I speak. But I mean, it's so cool. It's weird to me. I would love to go back over the 26 years and since I went and see how many teams went from Davenport,
Hmm.
because there was a run there. I don't know how many it's been, but and I think there may have been a little bit of a lull here, but I know there was a run where we went, and then I think either the year after that or 2 years later, a team from Davenport East went, and there were a couple more teams from different little leagues in
Hmm.
Davenport who went over like a span of 10 years or something. Like Davenport, Iowa, was the hotbed
Yeah.
in the Midwest for little league baseball for a while there. It's good to see us back on top where we belong.
Yeah. You look at, and I think Southeast went probably 3 years ago, 2022 or something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah.
You saw in the picture. I mean, you're at Williamsport, and like you watch it today. Is there like a big difference, or is it still like? I mean, I'm sure things have changed with the stadiums and all those kind of things, but it still has that vibe. What do you when you watch on TV? Does it still look like Williamsport to you?
Yeah, it's so nostalgic and it's so cool because so much has changed and yet so much is still the same.
Hmm.
We were the last team or the last year when they only had 4 teams from the U.S. and 4 teams internationally.
Okay.
So you just had the 4 regions, Central, Southeast, and West, and then you had the 4 international teams as well. So we got to keep all of our disease and everything, which was sweet. But at the time, they were planning on building the second stadium. I don't think they had it built yet. I don't even think they'd broken ground. But they were talking about it. Everybody knew this was the last year. They were going to go to 8 teams for the U.S., 8 teams internationally. They were going to build the second stadium so that they could play these other games. And so it's like you look at it and you go, okay, the space has changed. Right, the amenities have changed. We met Kevin Costner. They're meeting like the Braves and the Brewers. Like there's the clientele has changed, but it's still just 11 and 12-year-old kids,
Mm.
playing ball. The hill is still there. There's still kids sliding and rolling down, the muddy hill out behind. I watch, the kids from Northwest hit home runs, and I remember like looking at my own home run from our first game go over that same fence into that same part with, I'm sure the bushes have changed, but it looks the same. And so it's like, man, things have, as much as they change over there, that magic of Williamsport is still there. And it's so cool to get, the kids are interviewing, people, and they're talking to them about their favorite players and stuff. You get to know them a little bit and their personality and where they come from. It's such a cool thing that place still retains that same energy and atmosphere as it did 26 years ago.
Julian, you've played in so many college football venues and games, and in the NFL as well. I don't rank them, but like Williamsport has to like be right up there with the other things you've gotten to accomplish and enjoy in your career. I mean, it's right up there, isn't it, when it comes to special venues and moments that you're going to remember for a lifetime?
Absolutely. I think, especially the age that those kids are at, it's a little bit different as you get older, and the expectations, I think, are a little bit higher. The pressures are a little bit higher. And I know things change now with the way that youth sports are and the way that college sports are and everything. Like the game itself is changing to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, once you're out on the field playing the game, it's still just the game. The fans kind of go away, and the bases are the same distance. The mound is the same distance. The fences are, marginally within, 20 feet here and there. The fences are the same distance. It's still the same guys you're playing next to that you've been playing with the whole way up there. So everything else just kind of goes away, and it's not until afterwards, I think. I know for me, I didn't realize at the time how cool it was. That took a little bit for it to really sink in, like how amazing it was that we were there and that we'd done that. I hope that these kids from Northwest are just soaking every minute of it in and reveling in it, because it is such a unique and fantastic place to be. And as much as they love it now, I guarantee you 20 years from now, they'll look back and they'll love it even more.
Man, you just took my next question almost, because if you could give advice to these kids, not baseball wise, you can look at their swings later, but like, is it that like you will be looking back at this 26 years later? Is it 27 years later?
Yeah.
And like have
I couldn't critique them anyway. They're so much better than I was. It's ridiculous.
Is that what but like you would tell them, like, enjoy the slide, obviously you remember the home run and the hits and the things that you did on the field, but you remember just as much the Kevin Costners and the stuff that happened off the field, right?
I think the two biggest things, number one is to enjoy the interactions that you won't get to have in the future, right? Like we made really good friends. This was very strange because there was a language barrier that none of us could have breached at the time. But we made really good friends with the team from Japan. We stayed in the same dorm. We played video games against each other. We played ping pong against each other. Like, we hung out outside
video games was
of
like
it.
Nintendo. Like video games.
It was Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo. They had like a Sega Genesis. Like it was very basic stuff.
I love it. But
yeah, like that. It's that time when you are around people that you're probably never going to see again, right? From cultures that you may never interact with again. But it's still just kids playing, right? And you get to build kind of this understanding of other people and build those sorts of connections. Making those memories, I think, is number one. That's really important because you treasure those down the line. And then on the complete opposite side of that is the guys that you play with. Right, like maintaining those connections. We had a couple of reunions.
That's awesome.
I think we did like a 10-year and a 15-year or something like that with with my team. We all kind of keep track of each other, but it's mostly through social media. I see them, here and there and all over the place. But you're gonna run into those guys. We just had our 20-year class reunion for high school. I had a couple of teammates for the League World Series there. When my youngest started playing baseball, his first baseball coach was the catcher from our Little League World Series team. Like his son's also at that age. So those connections with the guys that you're with, they will be connections that will bind you forever. Like, keep them strong and keep them, close, because these are memories that nobody else is going to have, that you can share with them. So it's those two extremes, right? The people you'll never see again, and then the people that you're making these memories with that you probably will see for the rest of your life. Like those are the two that I would say really elevate your consciousness around those people, because it's so special.
We have a lively live chat that always has good questions, and I'm sure they're wondering, like, when did baseball and Julian go their separate ways? And I don't know if I even know. Like, you played at Central, right? For a little bit, or no?
I played about a year and a half at Central. So I had played Rising Knights football coming up, and then Little League baseball, obviously, and Pony League baseball, and Sudlow football, and all the way kind of through or up until high school, I thought I was going to be a baseball player. I liked baseball more. I thought that was what I was going to do. I was big, so football was relatively easy, but baseball was more of my passion. And then we got into high school, and it was between freshman and sophomore year that I really realized I liked hitting people more than I liked hitting balls. And I went to the Iowa football camp back when it was like the big satellite camp that they had. That was like 3 days padded, 800 kids and 50 schools from all over the country and stuff. So we would just go and bash heads for 3 days. And I remember going between freshman and sophomore year, and I knew I wanted to go to Iowa, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to go there for yet. And I think part of it was when Iowa started to show some interest.
Yeah.
Then it was like, oh, this might be a reality. Like this might be the avenue that gets me there. And so as my love for football sort of overtook my love of baseball, I got to that point where you have to start making decisions. And it was like, if I want to make football the main thing, you have to keep the main thing the main thing. And baseball in Iowa, those seasons, they do not line up very well if you're trying to do both. So I had a decision, and football won out, which ultimately proved to be, I think, a pretty good decision.
Can you still hit a baseball?
I can still hit a baseball. I'll tell you what, my back is the thing that stops me from doing it. I'd take it's the reason that we never go golfing, because by hole 3 I have completely wrenched myself out of alignment, and I can barely walk the rest of the course. But yeah, I can still. I've stepped up against like a football and put them what would have been.
I love it. Julian Vandervelde joining us on Off There with Matt Randazzo. Hey, let's talk a lot about Iowa football. The season's 2 weeks away. At this point, when you see the light at the end of the tunnel as a player, and we had the kids' day and everything else, but you want to hit somebody, right? Talk about what this part of camp is like for players with that light at the end of the tunnel, like less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, anybody that's not the guy you've been smacking your face into for the last 3 weeks, it's such a moment of catharsis to be able to say, okay, whoever it was, Christian Ballard, Mike Daniels, Carl Klug, right? You spend all day, every day hitting the same people in the head, and it's about time to take that and do it to somebody else, right? Let's pay that forward into somebody in a different, colored jersey with a different helmet, who I don't care about as a teammate and a brother, and I can really, go to town on. So I know those guys are itching to get out there. I know we as fans are itching to, to see it. Every year's a new hope. And when you get as close as Iowa did last year to the promised land, I mean, it's, people talk about, the best, whatever we were, 8-4 team or whatever that there's ever been. Man, you look at the people that we lost to by less than a touchdown or in the final moments of games and how far they went. Ultimately, Indiana winning the national championship, it's a little bit here and a little bit there. It's those inches of the game that we didn't quite have, and so you come into a season like this going, offensive line could be just as good, right, as it was last year, if not better. Quarterback play could certainly be just as good, if not better, than it was last year. The athletes are there. The transfer portal kind of shakes things up a little bit. Offense is looking better. We'll see what the defense can do. Everybody has faith in a good Iowa defense. It's always been kind of that, man, if we could just, score 24 points a game, we would be really rocking and rolling. And so there's so much hope and so much hype from the outside, but I know those guys are just locked in. You don't hear any of that this time of year. It's 100% mission focus, preparing to be the best, day in and day out, tough, smart, physical, relentless. Let's get after it. But I just know that they're itching to hit somebody that's, that they have not hit yet, because you do get tired of that after a while.
I got to ask you about that offensive line, because you're a product of a fantastic program that puts offensive linemen in the NFL. And you look, I mean, Julian, they lost 3 guys that are going to be on active rosters here in 3 weeks for the NFL. And you would think like, okay, that's got to be the concern. And you look at the offensive line, they got 2 guys that might be first-round picks next year, and then a bunch of just promising guys all around that. I guess how or why are you surprised that the offensive line, after taking the hit it did, isn't going to be a weakness, and for all probability might be a strength once again when it comes to Iowa football?
Never. I think part of it's the expectation, right? You build a program around a guy like Kirk Ferentz and his pedigree with offensive lines, with the history that Iowa has as far as offensive lines. Anytime you don't have an exceptional line, anytime the offensive line isn't a strength of the program, that's the surprise, right? That's where it doesn't matter who you lost, doesn't matter who you're replacing. It's expected every year, and I think as a person in that offensive line room, you recognize that, right? You understand we are held to a higher standard. We have to hold ourselves to that standard because our coaches hold us to that standard, because the head coach and the program is built around that standard, because the fan base, holds us to that standard, because it's the expectations that Iowa's going to have a great offensive line. And I think that when you look at Iowa as the type of program that we are, being a developmental program, some people are going to treat the transfer portal a little bit differently. I feel like offensive linemen in general are built a little bit differently. I think that there's a little bit more, especially in a place like the Midwest, in a place like Iowa, where you have the toughness. You have sometimes you got that country boy mentality coming in, right? You've got the loyalty, you've got the character, that sort of idea of it's okay if I have to wait my turn because I know that when my time comes, I'm going to be ready. It's a different sort of mentality than I think you get at other positions, and that allows us to bring guys into the program, to keep them in the program, and to build and develop behind the starters so that we always have that next man in. Sometimes it's just an issue of depth, right? Is the next guy ready and can need him, because you're never 100% playing football, and sooner or later we're going to need somebody, to step up in a vital position at a vital time. But as far as the guys who are out there on the field being ready, never a question. Should always be the case.
Julian, you look at it and you got somebody like Hayden Pieper who's like on the watch list as the best center in the country, and I think it was assumed he'd move to center. It sounds like we talked to Tom Caker last week, and he stays at guard, and he's probably going to stay at guard and work from that position. You're a guy that played guard at Iowa. You did both in the NFL. And you look at the interchangeable parts that Iowa has. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because you have a guy that might move over to center, and then he's really good at guard. Obviously, he's going to play on Sundays next year. Is it easy to do? Is it difficult to do? Is it just obviously somebody who's played both?
I wouldn't say that it's easy. I think it's essential. I think it's a necessary skill. You have a handful of guys, right? You have your Tristan Wirfs, you have your Brian Bulagas. You have guys who come in and it's like, okay, you're going to play left tackle and you're going to dominate at that position and you're going to be the best right at that. Or that's like for tackles, maybe there's a little bit more of that, but those guys also tend to go, a little bit back and forth. Every year I played on a different side of the line. I went from left guard to right guard to left guard to right guard. During my time at Iowa, I teach all of my high school kids now. I'm like, if you're a guard, you should be snapping before practice. You should know how to. If you're a center, you should know the guard positions. If you're a guard, it's probably a good idea for you to occasionally know tackle as well, right? You should probably know the assignments of the tackle just in case for emergency scenarios. But I mean, you look at a guy like Marshall Yanda. I think Marshall Yanda played at some point in time in his career all 5 positions on the offensive line for the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Like that sort of versatility, the more you can do, the more valuable you are, right? And so to be a guy who you might have a first position, yes, but to be able to say I'm not just a right guard, to either say I can play the right guard and left guard, or I can play right guard and center, or I can play right guard and right tackle, right? To have kind of that versatility. It's a mental exercise as much as anything. because you certainly, the assignments change a little bit, and the blocking schemes change a little bit, and responsibilities are a little bit different from one to the next. But I think that there should be a bit of an expectation on the offensive line that everyone isn't just one thing. At least not until you get to the NFL and you're making a ton, buttload of money to just protect, Tom Brady's backside. Like that's a little bit different.
Oh, Julian, I got to ask you because KF Kirk Ferentz is getting ready for yet another year at the University of Iowa. I don't think this is by far his last year, and he looks great. He's in great health. We had him on the show a couple Fridays ago when we were live up in Iowa City for Iowa Football Media Day. The obvious question is are you surprised that Kirk Ferentz is still coaching him? But like, not even that. It's just the culture of like the whole program. Does that make sense? Like, it's not just a Kirk Ferentz thing, but like the familiarity with all of those guys. I mean, you coach now, like to be able to have and be around like-minded people for as long as he has. What does that mean to Iowa football and the culture that they've created there?
It's hard to put that into words. It's arguably the most important thing, I think, because you can, when you are building a culture like Iowa has, building culture is the hardest thing there is to do in football, right? I think it's the hardest thing to do in sports. I'm a executive director at a senior living community now. It's a hard thing to build in business, right? Culture building is one of the most important things, but it's also one of the most difficult things to do. So to not have to restart that, every 5 years, you might get lucky, right? You might catch a Kurt Signetti. You might catch, someone like a Nick Saban. Like, yes, you might. But even then, right? I would rather take 30 years of steady, tough, smart, physical. The expectation is what it is. Everybody knows the expectations. Everybody knows the culture, the honesty, the trustworthiness, the loyalty, the toughness, the mentality. Like, you say what you want about, Kirk being potentially loyal to a fault or occasionally stubborn with the system and things like that. Iowa football has grown, and to grow on the field and not have to worry about resetting your culture expectations or a different slogan, every year that you're putting on your shirts and on the back of hats and stuff. There's something to that, and I think it's the most important thing that comes with a longtime coach. Like Kirk Ferentz is you don't have to. It's kind of like when guys come out of Iowa and you go to the NFL Combine, and I can say this from experience. And NFL guys look at you, coaches and GMs. They look at you and they go, "I don't have to worry about you. You're a Kirk Ferentz guy, right?" It's a knowledge that you come with a level of character and composure and toughness that checks off one of the boxes, and it gives you kind of a leg up on guys that they might just not have 100%. Maybe they're not 100% sure on this guy, but they know this about you as an Iowa guy. That's Kirk. That's what he brings to Iowa. Is we're going to check that box every time that we know that we're going to have the character and the culture and the toughness, and then from there everything else is just how good are you going to be on the field, and that's where we continue to try and explore.
Julian Vandervelde joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A few more before I let you go. There's a quarterback competition in Iowa City. I don't know if you knew that, but you played there while there was I'm trying to think, it was Stanzi and Christensen, right?
That's correct. You got it.
As another guy that's on the offense, as a lineman, whatever it may be, what are competitions like? I'm not saying what's this one like because you're not there, so I don't want you to get into, and it might be a little bit different, but what was it like for you guys? And I mean, I don't want to say to guys go hey, I'm a Stanzi guy, I'm a Christensen guy. Is it difficult as a member of the offense or part of the offense to have a competition like that? Or is it just go do your job and let those guys battle the way they battle?
I think it has to be that way. Nobody is good enough, I think, to worry too much about what everyone else is doing, right? Like you can't worry about another position group you have to be so focused on your position group and your position and doing your job that whatever else happens around you just happens. And it's like the mentality that I always had was, if I do my job well enough, it shouldn't matter what else happens. Right? If I do my 111th to the best of my ability and I succeed in my job, I trust that everyone else is going to do their 111th and they're going to do their job, and that's how we're going to be successful. It's not, because if you start to think, oh well, if so and so was playing, or if this situation went differently, or if the coaches made this choice on personnel, or I think this guy should be running the ball, or I think this guy, it doesn't matter, right? You have no control over that. You're probably wrong. And if you're worrying about that, then you're not worried about doing your job. So that's where I think the competitions they're interesting from the outside, but how much time does any of us on the outside spend in the facility, right? How much time do we watch them doing drills? How much time do we spend in the meeting room, listening to them talk, getting an understanding for what they know about the game and about the system? We don't know any of that. We just get to see the product that gets put on the field. So you have to trust that the guys that are in there, right, 12, 14 hours a day, breaking down film and doing drills and studying tactics and opponents and watching these guys day in and day out, that those guys know what they're talking about when it comes to who wins competitions.
No, absolutely. It's quickly in the locker room. What can you think? I'm not trying to don't tell me any names or anything, but did you guys talk about it? Did you guys ever go who do you think it's going to be? Did you bring it up into conversation, or was it just something you didn't talk about even in the locker room?
No, you don't talk about it at all. I will say, the only thing I'll say about it is there is an atmosphere around some guys, and you feel when they come into the huddle, you feel like there's a different energy, right? So I would say that's as far as you go. Is collectively you might feel a certain way when there's when somebody is in a certain position. But again, as soon as it's just kind of like that, okay, once you break the huddle, boom, turn around, I'm going to do my job 100%, 100 miles an hour. It doesn't matter who's back there, where they are, what's going on. You focus on you. That's the only way to be really successful, I think.
All right, last one for you. Okay, handicap this team for me. No, I don't want to go through the schedule, win, loss. Well, I'm not saying to do that, but from what you've read about, how excited are you for Iowa football, and how good do you think this team can be again this year?
I'm incredibly excited. I think, and someday I hope that there will be a better Iowa team than, as Pat would say, than that Orange Bowl team, right? Like that team was the best Iowa team there's ever been. Every year we're hoping that there's a team that's better than that. One Ricky Stanzi injury away, I think, from an undefeated season. Yeah. But with that said, I'm a fan first, right? You guys know this about me. I was a fan before I was a player, and so every year I see people go, "Oh, it's another 8-4 season." I'm like, no, Hawks are going undefeated, right? We're taking the playoffs by storm. No one's gonna see it coming. They're not gonna expect it, right? The defense is gonna be kicking butt. I met Tim Lester when he came in as the offense coordinator, and he was so honest about the situation, the offensive situation, the way that he broke it down position by position, personnel, individuals, and what he was looking for and what the system needed, and how far away he thought we were from really being able to run the system the way that he wants it to. And we're right at the beginning of that window where he seemed like he was like, this is what I need for this system to function. And I think so I'm really, really excited for this year, with the hopes of the offensive line, the skill players that we have, with the quarterback competition, with what's going on there. I assume the defense, I can't speak to that, right? Have Pat on the program next week. Yeah. I assume that the defense is going to be an Iowa defense, right? That's where I have to stay in that mindset. Because I don't know it well enough to speak to it. But from an offensive perspective, I could not be more excited for this sort of this ramping I've seen the last 2-3 years from this offense, and where I think we are and can still get to. and it makes me really excited for what the team can do on a national level.
Yeah, no, you hit a nail on the head. I think Tim Lester, and people don't talk about it enough. And Tyler Tashman was on last week from the Des Moines Register, and he's like, I just trust Tim Lester. Like, I trust, and like, I know Kirk is Kirk, and he's gonna have a part of a decision. He's the head coach, but I do think like he's kind of given this to Tim and said, hey, like, run with this. I think, and like you mentioned, like, when his first year he got in, he was behind the 8 ball, getting things in and put in. Last year he got more things put in. People got more comfortable. You're right. I think it's that time in that season that offense gets humming. And yeah, there's question marks, defensive line and those type of things. In Phil, I trust. I'm kind of with you. Like, if your question mark besides quarterbacks, if your biggest question mark on Iowa is their defense going into a season, you're gonna be okay because he seems to figure it out.
Pretty good.
Anyways. So yeah.
Well, and let me just say this, because this has been my bugaboo every year that Tim Lister has been the offensive coordinator with us. Is when was the last time we came into a season where the starting quarterback had a full off season?
Yeah.
Right. We brought in Cade McNamara. He was coming off of surgery. Right. He gets hurt. Doesn't really have the wheels. He's got the arm. Doesn't really have the wheels for this offense. Gets hurt. A lot of injury problems there. And then you pick up, a Gronowski last year with, as good as he was once he got going, he was basically like the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, he was playing catch up to get into the system because he also was coming off surgery. Like, we have an opportunity here where the offense has had an entire offseason together to coalesce before the first game. And so that's where I feel like we're going to start further ahead than we have been in the Tim Lester era, and to see where that goes from there is so exciting.
Let's go.
Man,
let's go. Forget 2 weeks. Juice has got me all fired up. Let's go now.
We're starting right now.
We're doing this thing now. We're doing it now. Well, hey, I always appreciate the conversations. Great stuff with Little League. And then, of course, Iowa football right around the corner. Behave yourself. Good luck, Central. We're going to have Alex Berg on sometime this week, so we'll get caught up with the Blue Devils then. But always appreciate you, my friend. Be good and go Hawks.
Been a pleasure to see you. Go Hawks. Thanks, Matt.
Right. That is Julian Vandervelde joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Great insight. Perfect guest today. I like to pat myself on the back, but like when you got the Little League World Series going on and then you got Iowa football less than 2 weeks away, no better dude to talk to than Julian Vandervelde. So that was a lot of fun. We got more to get to on OTA. We'll stay with those Little Leaguers and we'll chat with a pretty proud dad right now, Greg Thissen, who's the Assumption baseball coach and a state champion in his own right. But right now he's Cooper's dad, and I think he's cool with that. We got him and much more straight ahead here on OTA. We'll be right back. Hawkeye fans, football season is quickly approaching, and only one place can get you game day ready. The Black and Gold Shop is your official retailer of Iowa athletics. The largest selection of Hawkeye apparel, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more from top brands like Nike, Champion, and Under Armour. And your purchases directly help support Iowa athletics. So stop by one of their 3 great locations in the Quad Cities, Coralville, or West Des Moines. Or shop anytime at blackandgoldshop.com. The Black and Gold Shop, your official apparel provider of Iowa athletics. For over 65 years, Lindquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities, and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Lindquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
All right, Crawford guys, we need to come up with a new ad campaign. Let's hear what you got.
Oh, let's make a new TV commercial. No, we need a viral video.
I think my face would look good on a billboard.
Come on, what?
Right. We need your head to be bigger.
For heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical, count on the experts at Crawford Company.
Like me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Ugh, you've got to be kidding.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. If you care about sports at all, if you paid attention to anything over the weekend, hopefully you were checking out the Davenport Northwest Little League. Another dominating performance. We just talked to Julian Vandervelde about the Little League World Series. Of course, Julian there in 2000. The Northwest Little League team now 2-0. First time ever a team from Iowa has started 2-0 at the World Series, and they're doing great things. The entire Quad Cities excited about that. And of course, one of those guys that continues to play great baseball is Cooper Thissen. And now we're joined by, this is the first time you've been maybe introduced, Greg, as Cooper Thissen's dad. Usually your Assumption head coach, Greg Thissen. I think you probably like this title better. Cooper's dad's a better title, right?
Absolutely. If it comes with the context of what he's doing and what their team is doing, I'll take this all the time. And for reference, just on this show, I've only been introduced as Cooper's dad. Everywhere else in life these days, that's how I'm introduced.
I love it. And that's the way it absolutely should be. Greg Thissen joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo out in Pennsylvania. I guess we'll start with just the game yesterday. Watching these boys continue to play amazing baseball. Coach, it's not just, I'm going to call you Coach Greg. It's not just that they keep winning. It's the fashion that they're winning in. What did you see yesterday, and what have you seen this week that you love about what these kids are doing?
I mean, you got the biggest stage in baseball, and you've got 11 and 12-year-olds that have gone out here and just not flinched. I mean, they've been up to it. They've been up for it. They've wanted the games. They've had some really, really good performances. And from what I'm hearing from people out here, like historic performances as far as pitching goes, back-to-back games like that with both pitchers hitting homers in the game that they pitched. Man, they got a lot of people up here talking.
No, they do, and for very good reason. Do they get nervous? Like you see him, you're around him enough. You've seen him this year. I kind of joked with you before we started that, like, I mean, it's a goofy little podcast I do, but they're well trained media wise as well to give good interviews, say the right things. Do they get nervous at all, Coach? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think they do. I think it's normal. I think everybody gets nervous. I think what kind of separates some of these kids is that they're used to, I don't know how I say, channeling that nerves and forming it into energy and playing well while being nervous, maybe until they settle. I think some kids get nervous and they kind of freak out. What is this feeling? I haven't felt this before. I think a lot of the kids on this team have felt it before. They've been in big spots. They've been in moments, and they're up for it.
I want to go back to Cooper's first game. What ended up being, I think, finally Friday. Maybe it was Thursday. I can't remember with all the rain and everything you guys have done. But
I'm not sure what day it is right now. So I
love it. That's a great thing. Watching your son pitch that way, and obviously the home run. Take us into your shoes. I know it's hard to do, but like, what is it like for you and your family watching your son perform like that on the biggest stage?
Yeah, in the moment, it's nerve-wracking. I just think for me, like I said, Cooper plays a lot. We've had a few of these where it's like, oh my God. But I think just before the game, like I'm talking to my wife, and I was like, hey man, just don't let the pressure, outweigh the pleasure. Make sure that no matter what happens today, like this is fun. This is a huge opportunity that he's earned, and that knowing that he's prepared for this is a little bit settling as well before the game starts. But yeah, you're always wondering like, oh, what if this goes like really, really bad, and then it turned out to be the opposite, and it went really, really well. So it was fun.
You look at it and he plays the way he played, and they advance, and they do that again this past weekend. Everybody's talking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember watching the game, the first game with Cooper, and then right afterwards, I'm watching the studio show, and they're comparing him to Ohtani and everything else. Does he hear those things? Is he just playing baseball? Does he give himself a chance to go and watch some things and say like, wow, like they're saying great things, or do they just like forget it, don't buy into it, don't listen to it, just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I think he does a good job of really like staying off social media and not like following all that stuff. I remember yesterday we were at the big league game, the Classic, and and I finally got a chance to talk to him because we don't get to see him a lot up here. So I finally got a chance to talk to him. We went to the Dippin' Dots line, and it was about 40 minutes long. And he looked at me and he's like, "Do you really want to stand in line?" I'm like, as a parent, this is the first time where I get to actually talk to you for 40 minutes since we've been here. I was like, I'll stand in this line all day, And so one of the things we got in line, he's like, "Hey, do you have any like pictures from the tournament or anything like that?" And so we kind of started scrolling through a little bit, and his eyes got a little bit, a couple spots where he was like, "Oh, yeah, like some of this stuff is really going on." So I think they do a good job in Williamsport of like keeping them in a bubble, and not letting them kind of be exposed to all the big things and the bright lights outside of what they're trying to, accomplish content wise. So, I mean, I think he knows, but at the same time, I just think he just really loves to play baseball and he's got energy for it. And when he gets his chance, like everything else just kind of disappears and he gets to just go play the game he likes.
Greg Thissen, Cooper's dad, joining us off there with Matt Randazzo. You look at it, Coach, in the last end of the game for Cooper's game one. It's intense, bases loaded, those type of things. I have to ask it. So that situation and maybe Assumption State Championship, moments. Like, can you like the dumb question is like, which is more, tough on you, or which ones? Can you compare and contrast them? I don't want to say which one's tougher, or which one's. Can you compare and contrast them at all?
No, I mean, for me, like just being in the game as long as I've been in it, no, they're very similar, very similar. I think, my feels were very similar in both of those games where you're just pulling so hard, you know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing you can do. Like you're not pitching, you're not the hitter. There's nothing you can do, but internally, you're just pulling for it, you just want it to happen. You're wishing it to happen and you're waiting for it to happen. And then when it does, it's like an explosion of emotion where it's just like, we're over that hump, like we got that accomplished. So yeah, I think, that game one and the state championship, very, very, very similar emotions.
You look at it and I want to talk to you about somebody besides Cooper, because AJ was amazing yesterday. Talk to me about that kid. You've obviously gotten to know him and know him well. They just
very
built
well.
differently, but I mean, you watch Cooper do what he did and historic, and then he goes and does the same thing. Just talk to me about that young man.
Yeah.
I love him because he loves Ken Griffey Jr. and as an old guy, like that speaks to my soul. But tell me about AJ and what you've seen from him.
Yeah, just a big time competitor, man. You might not see as much emotion out of him, but it's there. It's there. He wants it. He competes. I was talking to his grandfather the other day. He wants all that smoke, man. He wants to be in those big spots. He wants the ball. He wants to, compete at the highest level. He loves playing this game. And for him to go out and, kind of show up like that and dominate. He was dominating the whole game. So, yeah, it was fun to watch. I've known him since he was probably 6. He played Y basketball with Cooper. That's how this whole relationship started. And him and his dad and my dad, or his dad and me, started talking about baseball and maybe joining a travel team. And at the time, I'd never seen the kid play baseball at all, but I saw him play basketball and I saw the way he competed, and I was like, hey, this could be fun, And then since then, him and Cooper have become really, really good friends, maybe best friends. They play a lot of video games together. They play a lot of sports together. They run around together during these travel ball tournaments as well. So just to see those two, like really, really good friends, just playing catch the whole game yesterday and smiling and pumping fists. And, I think at the end we got taken out, Cooper came up and just gave him a big hug. There was no fist bump or anything that led into it. Just gave him a big hug. It was like, that's my guy right there, So as a parent, it's a little emotional there too, man. That's fun to see.
No, I love it. Coach, you're at a Airbnb or whatever, a cabin in the middle of Pennsylvania here on August, whatever the day is, 24th.
It's gorgeous here too.
Right. What's this part like? I mean, the families are obviously close. Some parents are working, trying to work on laptops, things like what's the non-baseball side of it like for you guys right now?
We've actually had a lot of fun, man. The parents here have been great. Very supportive of each other. And this is a little different situation for us too, because we didn't know a lot of the parents at Northwest Little League when we joined. It's not like a travel ball team where you know these guys for like years and years and years, and then you go off on this big adventure, that takes like a month now, maybe over a month. But everybody's been super supportive, been super friendly. I think it's kind of what makes the Midwest is that people care and put, other people before themselves, and it's gone real smooth. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all ready to get home at some point, but we're going to ride this thing all the way to the end.
Yeah, you get to stay through the weekend, which is a beautiful thing, regardless of what happens. But let's go to Wednesday. Cooper's played in a lot of big-time games, pitched in a lot of big-time games. I'm assuming, and it's a safe assumption, I think he's going to get the ball on Wednesday. What will that game be like for him? And like his preparation leading up to it, and what will it be like for you watching, like we said, helpless, like you've been in a lot of baseball games and done a lot of baseball stuff, but helpless watching your son in the semifinals for the American bracket.
Yeah, it's crazy to even hear you say that out loud. Today's an off day, so we'll get them today for a little while. Tomorrow they'll be back on schedule. They'll have 2 practices tomorrow. They'll eat together. They'll do all that stuff. So he'll probably get a little bit of therapy today on his arm just to kind of try to recover as fast as possible. And then Wednesday, I'd assume he get the ball for some of it, if not all of it, depending on score. I know it's tough. It's tough, and you never want to look ahead in baseball, but the way that everything's starting to pan out here at the end, availability of arms is going to be key when you get to those last couple games too. And I think the way AJ threw that, you're excited to have him for one of those 2 last games, but I think that you'd probably like to have Cooper for one of them as well, too. So I think score and situation will probably depend on how long he pitches in that game. So hopefully the bats come out and get hot and get him out of there and run him back for the World game.
You mentioned getting Dippin' Dots and standing in a line and getting to catch up for 40 minutes. And that's 40 minutes. I'm like you, if it was, I'd look for the longest line so that it could be, if it's 2 hours, I get them for 2 hours. What do you do today with them?
Fine.
Like, how long do you get them? What do you do? Do you just sit and talk? I mean, like, what's the idea or the plan for some quality time today before he gets back at it?
Yeah, so we haven't really had him at all. Like, when I say at all, like, he hasn't left the complex with us personally at all. Like, we had one day where we could have probably taken him for 4 hours. And I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to get out of here? Do you want to go do something? Do you want to go get some food? And he looked at me and he's like, I'm perfectly fine staying here. Like the way they have them all bunked up and, and have all the teams that kind of get to hang out in the Grove and play ping pong and video games. And it sounds like he's made a ton of new friends. So he wasn't really excited about leaving or spending time with Dad at that moment. Yesterday in the Dippin' Dots line, he did say, because today, you can get him for an extended period of time. Today he did say, yeah, like I'd be all right coming out to the cabin and, seeing where you guys are up to out there before coming back for dinner. And I think they're going to go catch the 7 o'clock game too as well. So today we'll get to spend some time with them. Knowing Cooper, he's going to say, what's up to me? We're going to talk for about 5 minutes, and he's going to go play with his sister and the little siblings and try to get a wiffle ball game going. And that's probably the last I'll talk to him before he pitches or before we see him Wednesday before he pitches.
No, I love it. When it comes to the big picture of this, baseball wise, what do you start looking ahead? Do you look in Nevada? You're a baseball guy, you're a coach. I know I know the way your mind works. Like, have you watched some Nevada film and that kind of stuff? Or how do you balance? I'm sure you have. How do you balance the scouting report with the dad part of it?
Yeah, I watched their last game last night on demand. I'll go find their other 2 games. I'll probably watch some of their regional games. I'll find out their arm. I'll go through their hitters, and to be honest with you, if there's somebody that stands out, that's good at the plate, like offensively, like me and Cooper might have a couple conversations about how we're going to attack them. But for the most part, like where he's at in his development, like he's going to call his own game. He's going to attack hitters the way he sees their swings and their approaches. And I'm going to let him go to work because it's been really good so far. And also, I think that's what kind of separates us from every team up here. You see all the other coaches like calling pitches and doing all that stuff. And I don't think people realize that Northwest, they're calling their own pitches. Like the 12-year-olds are calling their own pitches. When Cannon and Cooper play, Cannon calls it from behind the dish, and yesterday Cooper called the game for AJ as well. So those guys are out there reading swings and, and calling their own game, which I think is pretty unique at 12.
Last one for you. You look at last night. You sent me a picture. You're at the Major League Baseball game. I think that Major League Baseball. I'm a baseball guy. I love it, but I feel like Major League Baseball sometimes steps on it or messes things up or gets in their own way. I think there's certain things that they hit home runs with. They just kill it. The Field of Dreams game that they do up in Dyersville is awesome. I think yesterday's experience for those kids, the families, what they do with the Little League World Series is a home run, no pun intended. What was last night like? What was yesterday like to look around and watch Major League Baseball players roam through the stadium, hanging out with little leaguers, and then playing for them or in front of them at night?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get Acuna and Mizorowski, like in regular clothes and just a jersey top, and they're 20 feet from you, like win. Like that was pretty special just to see, those guys, just walking through. And the cool thing about baseball too is I mean, you see AJ hits his home run and I glance to the left and the Braves guys are like little kids, with popcorn. I swear if you had it, they'd probably be throwing it up and down. So it's cool how, baseball can take a grown man and just turn him into a 12-year-old with one swing of a bat, so that was pretty special to see too. And last night at the Classic, I don't know if you watched, Acuna steals second base and gets up and starts, jumping up and down like he's literally like he's 12, and he's doing it to the Latin America, team and the Curacao team. And those kids are going absolutely bananas as soon as he gets to second. I mean, it was a cool moment. I even turned to my dad and I was like, he gets it. Acuna gets it, man. Like the energy that he showed to those kids, and he played it last night like he was 12. The whole time he was around, he was smiling, and that was pretty special too. I dig that.
I lied one more because Julian Vandervelde was on last segment and talked about when he was there in 2000, they became best of friends with the Japan team. And it was funny because there was a language barrier, but there's a common language called video games, I think, with kids. So that was, do you see that? I'm not saying with like different, like, I don't know what countries or whatever, but you mentioned like that environment they put for the kids. These kids are making memories and relationships that are probably going to last for a lifetime, not just their own team, but other teams all around the world.
Oh yeah. Like we were in line for Dippin' Dots, and one of the Japan kids came up to Cooper, and I don't know what he said, Todoshi, or I don't know. I don't speak Japanese, but he came up and he made a safe sign to Cooper, and he said, "Safe Todoshi," and Cooper went, "Out Todoshi," and they both just had a good laugh about it, and then the kid moved on, and I was like, "It's like, you know him? Like, what is that about?" He goes, "Yeah, he was sliding on the hill the other day, and he got to the bottom, and I called him out." And then Todoshi means out in Spanish. So I called him out, and then he jumped up and he's muddy and he says, "Safe," and he says it back to me. He goes, "Now every time I see him, we just do it back and forth."
Oh, that's awesome.
So the kid recognized Cooper and came up and, and kept a little banter going back and forth between him and the Japanese player. So yeah, there's definitely that stuff going on. In the line, like I said, I got to talk to him in the line for about 25 minutes, but our conversation was interrupted 100 times by kids from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Everybody there had huge smiles on their face, and the last thing anybody was worried about at the league game last night was whether they won or lost that day or the upcoming games. I think that's unique from a 12-year-old perspective, is that when it's game time, they're locked in. And when it's not, they just get to be kids, and they get to, go through life carefree and not have to worry about some of the pressures that this tournament can bring sometimes.
Greg, I appreciate the time. Fantastic conversation. Give Cooper my best when you see him. Obviously, enjoy the afternoon with him as well, and enjoy Wednesday if you can. I know you will, but like you tell Cooper,
it's gonna be a fun one.
Like you tell Cooper, enjoy it and have fun. I'll tell you, hey Dad, enjoy it and have fun. You're living a good life right now. So
we are. Yeah.
I appreciate you, my friend. We'll catch up soon. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Awesome. That is Greg Thissen, Cooper's dad, also the head baseball coach at Assumption. Played plenty of baseball in his day as well, enjoying Williamsport and the Little League World Series. We got a lot more to get to. We'll talk a little high school football after this on OTA. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? That fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Week 1 high school football season is officially in the books for the Illinois side of the river. The Iowa side will begin this week as well, so we'll officially be into the high school football season come this Friday. It was such a fun night on Friday night. Crazy night. If anybody watched View from the West Instant Reacts, it was a show in progress because Mother Nature, as those weather guys always do, tried to ruin things, but the sports guys, we prevailed. It was a fun night and a lot of great action and a lot of interesting results all over our area and the state of Illinois. And in the last 3 weeks, we've tried to do as many football previews as possible. One I wanted to get to was Bureau Valley, and I ran out of time because I think they're going to have a fun season out in Manlius, and it was especially a really good starting on Friday. It was Bureau Valley winning and beating, I think, a very good Monmouth United team. 36-27 was the final score. And here to talk about that victory and then the season in general, our good friend Pat Elder. Just starting in this coaching thing, did you say year number 27?
I think this is 26 or 7 in charge. I'm over 30 coaching wise. I know that. I coached while I was in college at Normal UI with Dirk Smid, who outside my dad is the guy I've learned the most football from. So I've been at it for a minute.
So if you keep at it, I think you might do okay with this stuff if you keep with it. Pat Elder joined us.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Right. I guess I want to start with Friday first. And obviously you guys coming off a 1-8 season, your first year last year at Bureau Valley. There's excitement with that program. The numbers don't reflect maybe the energy that younger levels had some success last year as well. I knew you were excited moving into the season, but you never know what to expect on a Friday night. I guess we can talk now Monday morning. Were you pleased with what you saw on Friday night?
How did I phrase it to the kids afterwards? I said we can be happy with the result, but we need to understand how much we can improve on how we got there. Yeah. And so obviously we were glad to start with a win. I thought we did some things that you can build off of. First off, we early in the game we give up a long touchdown. We were immediately down 7-0. A minute into the football game, they kicked off to us. And we took the ball and marched 12 or 13 plays, went 70 or 80 yards down the field and punched one in and finished a drive. We missed a conversion, but I tell you what, I know it was the second quarter by the time we scored. I do know that. So, number one, that's the kind of drive we want and who we want to be. Number two, to respond after something had gone well like that, in the past, that had been an issue too. So once we did that calmed the coach down a little bit, if nobody else, about the game. And so I was pretty happy with that. And then to start the second half, they came out in a look defensively because we'd been able to move the ball. We turned the ball over inside the 10 in the first half, which I wasn't happy about. But they came out in a different look, that something we just hadn't seen out of them. And our kids blocked it, and we moved the ball no problem. And again, the rule's the rule. If you block the rule, it'll solve the problem. That's been a point of emphasis. And again, our kids didn't miss a beat. So those are just a couple things that come to mind right away that were really positive, I think, for our kids and for us as coaches to see also.
Your second year at Bear Valley, what did you learn the most? And this is coming from a veteran head coach, so I'm not like you. Too many things surprise you anymore. But what did you learn the most about your new program last year, now heading into this year, as it comes to from year one to year two?
Even though we didn't have much success at the varsity level on the field last year, our kids had a good year. We just continued to coach them all year, and they were receptive to it. And in the middle part of the season, we really played pretty well and showed some signs of growth, which was encouraging for me. But it was the kids saw it. The kids understood it. And we've got good kids. So I saw that a year ago. But then what else I saw that we really spent some time on this offseason was we just got to learn how. Like we had a chance down at Elmwood Brimfield and we were in the game, but you could just see us doubt ourselves a lot. And same thing happened against Illini West, which were those were two games we had a chance to win. And Illini West was a playoff team, so in the offseason we spent a lot of time. Our kids were positive. They're excited about what we did and how we were going about things. And they were, particularly our three captains, Reed Maynard, Dane Stewart, and Blake Foster, who all had it. Well, Blake and Dane accounted for all 5 touchdowns the other night. And Reed is a defensive tackle guard, and he probably blocked him into the end zone a couple times too. So those three were very receptive to what we need to do on the how to work on it, what they need to do as leaders. And we did a book study of the Twin Thieves, which is just a phenomenal book. And their answers on those things, it was obvious that they read it. It was obvious they understood the purpose of it. And they've taken that and kind of tried to build with their teammates on it. We've got 4 or 5, not to lie, we got 6 or 7 new juniors and seniors out. They're the reason why, they went to these kids and were like, hey, this is a good thing. We're good. We're doing good things. And got some guys to be involved that were key players on last Friday night for us. And we hope they will be all season long.
I love it. Pat Elder joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned seeing progress last year, and it might not have resulted on the scoreboard or in the win column, and you can point to that during the offseason, and you can explain it to the kids, but nothing really replaces winning. How important? I mean, every game is important. Week 1's always important. You want to be 1-0, not 0-1. But was there a little more importance to it, knowing that, like, hey, these kids saw the results or the fruits of their labor last year over the summer into this year? Did it mean more week 1 because of where you guys had been last year?
Without question. And I thought us and United are kind of the same team as far as what we've got coming in. Mm-hmm. We both got a group of seniors. A lot of them have played since they were sophomores. They haven't had a lot of success, but both of us think we're significantly better this year. Mm-hmm. We've each got a couple more playmakers maybe than we did in the past. There were, while schematically we were different, I think philosophically the things our teams had coming into the season were very similar. So while I never mentioned to our kids, I thought Friday night was a big game for us because it would kind of let us know if we'd made some progress. And like I said, we just did something. We were cleaner. Like I said, we had 2 turnovers inside the 10. You got to fix that. But outside of that, we were significantly cleaner offensively on Friday night than we have been. And we showed a little explosion at times that I think will grow, or I hope grows as the season goes on. But it was a good win for us to move us forward into, we got St. Bede this week, and that'll be another good matchup for us. They're a good team, and they got a lot of kids back. We did not play well against them a year ago. I thought later in the year we would have been a better matchup with them. So it'll be a good measuring stick for us to see how far we've come playing them next week.
It's funny. I opened this up by saying, what did you like or what did you see on Friday? And obviously a win is a win. Every coach is going to say, this was good, but I got a whole bunch of stuff after week 1 I want to work on. And there's that saying that some of the best improvement you have in a season is from 1 to 2 after you. What will Monday's practice be like? Because you want to continue the energy. Everybody's going to be excited. Expectations probably go up a little bit more. But you got to get back to work. How do you, as a guy who's been around the game for a while, how do you approach Monday after a big victory to open the season on Friday?
So the first thing we'll do is we'll go through the things that need fixed. Hey, these are the mistakes we made, and here's the simple fix to it. It doesn't need to be something drastic. Just understand, if you'd have played the man here on this pass instead of the receiver, you would have been able to defend it, and he wouldn't have caught the ball, because your job as a defensive back is to make sure that guy doesn't catch it, not for you to intercept it. I think that's the biggest misconception people have everywhere. 9 out of 10 high school interceptions are just poorly thrown footballs. Yeah. So you need to make sure that guy doesn't catch it. We made some mistakes here that hurt us, and we just did some things defensively that were simple, things we were prepared for. And you gotta stay level. Where do you need to be? Understand your assignment, execute your assignment. But we've also, thankfully, because we did some good things Friday night, we have multiple examples of hey, nobody did anything special here. Everybody just did exactly what they were supposed to do. And because of that, we either moved the football, or there was a 4th down. They had the ball. It was 4th and 1. And they went for it. And not one guy on the field for Bureau Valley did anything except their exact job. That's it. Nobody did anything special at all. And we got to stop on the play. And it was a moment that set us up on a short field to go score. And, so understanding that at times it matters the most, if you just do what you're taught to do, good things will happen for you, is a pretty powerful thing. Right now we're talking football. Frankly, it's pretty powerful in about anything you're going to do. So there are ample examples of that. And that's probably the thing that excited me the most. I mean, we gave up 27 points. We need to work on things defensively. But the 4th down I was talking about, when I went back and broke it down on film, like I was wildly excited about it, because it was a lot of boring things that led to nobody gaining a yard and us getting the ball.
I love it. If I talked to you last week previewing the season and not a game in, I would have said, hey, Coach, what are the goals and expectations for this team this year? I'll do that again now, but I'll do it with the caveat is you got a game in, and it was a good game, and it was a successful game. I don't want to say like 1 week changes goals and expectations, but you mentioned 1-8 last year. You felt getting better throughout the season. What are the goals and expectations for this year's team?
Our kids set some goals that none of them had a number with them, but they were all things to achieve to try and get them to that point. Knew we needed to practice faster. We knew we needed to play with a little more grit. Knew we needed to focus on ourselves. Some of those things, but our kids haven't been shy. They haven't had a winning football season, and they want one. Five's the number they want, and they got a better chance of getting there now because they got one. So so that helps them out. But to have a winning regular season would be a great accomplishment for our kids, and I'd be pretty happy to see them achieve it, because they've worked to give themselves the opportunity to do it, and I don't think that's a lofty goal at all. I think it's achievable. I think they took a good step the other night. They just need to continue to improve towards that.
Coach, I think
I'm fine with more than 5.
Yeah,
that's okay too.
Just don't limit yourself at all, Coach. I think most of the Illinois high school football previews, I start the interview by saying, "Hey, before we start talking about the season, let's talk about the changes in the IHSA and the way this year looks." So, as we've mentioned, this is not your first rodeo. And things are much different. Like the drive for 5, it used to be for old guys like us, it was 6. It wasn't 5. Now it's 2. Like you could clinch a playoff spot maybe next week. I joke, but your thoughts on maybe let's start with the beginning and things being earlier. Was it a lot different? Was it things you didn't like? Was it, hey, we're all in the same boat and we're going to do what everybody else is doing? Your thoughts to the beginning of the calendar and things moving up a week.
I'm not a fan at all. I've not mixed those words with anyone that's asked, and I won't mix them now. I think moving up the start of the football season hurts participation, isn't good for kids. And, we had a young man whose parents had a trip planned long before the season was moved up that didn't get to play last Friday night because of it. And because of no fault of his own, he thought it was dead week. Football's a different animal. Everybody doesn't need to be in. You hear an argument of it's some stronger conferences think it's better for them, and maybe it will be. But my interest is the overall health of high school football and people wanting to stay involved in it. And so I don't believe moving the season up is good for that. And I don't think the expansion of the playoffs is good for that because it makes it's going to, there's going to be some mathematical anomaly occur at some point. I hope it does this fall. Of at some point, there's going to be some class that has 9 teams that are 9-0, 8-1, and one of those 8-1 teams isn't going to get a bye. And then in the other half of it, there's going to be a 6-3 team that does get a bye. So that part that it's all fair and equal. And the idea, I don't think it would be fair, and I don't think the IHSA can get in the business of seeding the playoffs. I think the objectivity with the math they use now is what needs to be done because, hey, I get it. Historically, the NUIC is pretty strongly and those people probably ought to be seated higher. Same with Byron and the Big Northern. But in the next breath, that's still not – when you talk about being fair and equitable, I don't think you can go down that path because, I coached a team in 2011 that nobody believed could go down and play with the team they were playing. And, they had the ball and the chance on the 22-yard line to win the state championship. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done, but nobody believed that was going to happen. And had you seeded it, who knows when that game would have occurred and, without objectivity. As far as the expansion, my issue, I had come to grips with the expansion. I was okay. As you said, I'm a little longer in the tooth than I was. So if people, it didn't pass by very much, but if that's what people wanted, I had come to grips with it, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
What has upset me so much in it, and I was in the meeting, I heard them say it. They assured us that the season would not be moved up. We were assured that it would not be moved up. I would argue that had they put when it was voted on, not argue, I wholeheartedly believe that it never would have made the ballot had it included moving up this season. I believe that wholeheartedly. Then to turn around and decide, well, we're not sure. We think with state reasons now we're going to have to move up the season. Okay, well, you just need to tell us in the beginning that you wanted to expand the playoffs because that's what you wanted to do. For whatever reasons, you believe that's the best path forward, and that's how you were going to go about it. But I felt the process that was used to get here, I don't feel it was upfront. I don't feel it was transparent, and that's my issue with most of it is how they went about doing it. They got the expansion passed under one pretense and then came back and said, oh, by the way, we got to move it up 5 days. And that was not the agreement, and because it barely passed to start with. So short version, I'm not a fan. I don't think it was done correctly, and I don't think it was done transparently.
Yeah. No, no surprise. I haven't been quiet that I'm not a big fan of it either. With that being said, I hope there's a pendulum, and I think there probably will be that comes back in a different direction, and we'll see how it all. Like I always tell my kids when it comes to trying food, try it. You might like it, so we'll try. I guess we'll try it, and probably won't like it.
Well,
that's
my concern. I'm sorry, Matt.
Yeah,
but my concern with it is I'm worried that it puts the the rich in a position that they get richer. I don't think this levels the playing field. I mean, the idea, and I don't understand how people think it does level the playing field. When one of those 3-6 CCL teams comes out and is in the playoffs, that's a different animal, you know. Yep. The CPS schools that are getting into the playoffs, you know, they had made some progress 10, 11 years ago. They have not recently. They kind of slid back. And so, you know, you add in, you know, those 9-0 teams playing a 3-6 team, you get where I'm going here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it helps those. And again, man, I enjoyed coaching that football. I mean, I did not enjoy going 1-8 a year ago. I enjoyed coaching that football team. Our kids worked hard. They tried to do what they did. I mentioned a couple of games. We had a chance to win and could have won. That would have made us 3-6. None of us needed a week 10. And that I don't, you know, and that's not a slight on our kids, but they were ready to go play basketball, and I was ready to go watch them play basketball. I mean, we'd done what we could do. We'd made our efforts, and that was what it was. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn for those guys, and they disagree with me on that, but it wasn't. You know, I've been fortunate enough. I've been on both ends of it, and so I just. I don't think it's good for the long-term health of high school football. And that's the part that has me concerned, because there's so much value in this game. There's so much value in it for kids to be involved. And, you know, you and I were talking before we started here, but it's such a limited window. It's such a limited window to play any high school sport, but let alone football. You know, you can tell by looking at me, I'm not going out and running a 5K, but if I wanted to, I could. I can go play 18 most days when I want to do that. Most other activities, heck, I can even go find a 5-on-5 pickup game. You know, and I can still shoot it. If I'm in the gym, I'm in range.
I love it.
But there's not a full contact 11-man football game anywhere around that I can go play in, and I don't need to go play in it, you know? And so I just think we're having participation issues. I don't think this helps it.
No, I would completely agree with. And the thing is, it's always like somebody come up with a silver lining. Hey, if I can find a silver lining, that doesn't mean you should do the entire thing, because I can find a silver lining in things. It probably doesn't. Silver linings don't make it so you should do it. I completely agree. Coach, before I let you go, I've been asking the coaches as we've been doing this, what's the best thing you did this summer that didn't involve football? What's the most fun you had this summer that did not involve football?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Because I had a good summer. I had a good summer. We had some family weddings that were good and everything else. But I tell you what, it's my wife and I last week celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Bless her.
And her and I, oh, she's a saint.
Yeah.
And her and I snuck away to Nashville for 3 days and got to go to a Train concert and Bare Naked Ladies concert.
Very cool.
And went to a Sounds baseball game, and my wife's a singer. I love live music, and it was a great trip for her and I. So it's probably the best thing we did this summer.
I love it. Well, she deserves a happy anniversary. You don't, but she deserves a happy anniversary. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? If you weren't, I said you cannot coach. You cannot coach anything. What would you be doing with and I guess administrative teaching, all that kind of stuff. You got to get out of the school, got to get out of coaching. What would you do?
Man, I can't. I mean,
it's like taking air away from you.
Well, it is. It is. One, I was like, this was our family business.
Yeah,
you know, with my dad and everything else. I mean, I'd assume I'd ended up in either sales or a trade
or jail.
One of the two. So fair enough. But probably I don't know. You know, heck, I like people. You know, I like interacting with people. My wife points out that I've never met a stranger. Yeah. You know, so I'd imagine whether it be something with sales or some environment where I got to deal with people on the regular, that'd be about it. But I really don't know. I just don't know, because and I wouldn't have taught if I wasn't going to coach. I would have done something else, but there was never any doubt what path I wanted to go.
I love it. You done good with it. Are you superstitious?
I'm less now. I'm West
What's
now.
the crazy one that you had? What's the worst superstition you had? Maybe a young older.
Shucks. Oh shucks. And I'm pretty sure, I had Danny Hurley beat. I had the same socks, same underwear. I put everything on the same way. And when we went that first undefeated team at Sherrard, I never changed. I mean, everything I wore on a Friday to school and a Friday night to the game was the exact same for the entire season.
It worked.
That was the most intense I ever got. Yeah. And I entered the same door of the building. I had the same thing for breakfast. There was nothing that changed. Nothing that changed that day. We had our house in Sherrard they still got it. We had a victory bell that we rang after games at Sherrard. I don't know what the purpose for this thing was at our house, but we had a mini, like a dinner bell, but it was like it's still there. I drive by, I want to steal it. And hanging on a telephone pole. And it was a cast iron true little kettlebell. I got nothing better for you than that. Well, my wife, who's a saint, got it down, and Jeremiah Johnston from Sherrard, principal at Galva.
Yeah.
Jared took it, and they got it sandblasted and painted just like the Sherrard victory bell.
Oh, very cool.
So and it was about, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say it was maybe 8 feet in the air, but I'd ring it. I'd have to jump to hit it, no string on it, and I'd ring the bell when we won our games. But it couldn't have been much more over 8 feet because I wouldn't have been able to get to it.
I love it. Coach, it's been a great chat. Best of luck the rest of the way. St. Bede coming up this week, and then a whole bunch more high school football to get to. Enjoyed the conversation as always. Hope you guys stay healthy, win a bunch more games, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you, and appreciate all the coverage you guys give us and all the high school sports.
I love it. That is Pat Elder, head coach out of Bureau Valley, jumping up, hitting bells. I love the visual of that. We got much more to get to. It's a Monday on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back. There we are. Welcome back to Off There with Matt Randazzo. That was weird here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. I pick the worst times to get a drink. I go to take a drink and all of a sudden the commercial break gets over and next thing you know, the technology goes crazy. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday. The work week is underway. The weekend is coming. Not quick enough for most people, but hopefully the Off the Air has helped you get through your Monday a little bit. It's been a fun show so far. If you're just joining us, Julian Vandervelde to start the show. Obviously, Julian played in the Little League World Series. The Quad Cityans remember it well back in 2000. And I feel bad. I feel like I'm talking like Julian's super old or something like that, which he's not. But 2000, he went to Williamsport with the Davenport East Little Leaguers. He was huge, 6'1". We went down memory lane with him, and then obviously Iowa football is 2 weeks away. So before he started mauling defensive linemen at the University of Iowa as an offensive lineman, he played in the Little League World Series. So great stuff from Julian Vandervelde. Also got to catch up with Cooper Tissen's dad, Greg Thissen, the head baseball coach at Assumption, and they just won a state championship. But a great perspective from him on what those kids are going through and the energy, the excitement. We kind of mentioned it earlier in the show. Major League Baseball steps in it sometimes, in my opinion, a lot. And I like baseball, but the stuff with the Field of Dreams and now this Little League World Series stuff, when you looked around and you saw all the stars of Major League Baseball walking around Williamsport yesterday and the game at night with the Little Leaguers there. Perfect stuff. So great chat with Greg Thissen. Then a little week 1 high school football with Pat Elder. Pure Valley, a big victory over United, who I think United is a very good football team, and they showed it a little bit on Friday night as well. They got a big victory on Friday as well. So high school football season is rocking and rolling. If you guys missed the View from the West show on Friday, go check it out. Loved hanging out with the guys. Speaking of that, I meant to snag it and I didn't, and you guys can weigh in. Our good friend Brian Stocking, who helps out with this show, long time, he's been doing it for 30 years. He posted it 30 years now. One of the best in the business. And he was talking about special teams on the show, and he kept referring to it as specialty teams. And that's not what it is. And he claims that some people call special teams specialty teams. So please weigh in if you've heard that term before or used specialty teams to describe special teams. Let me know, and so I won't be so hard on Stockpile. But no, it's special teams. So anyways, we had a blast on Friday night. The lateness of games because of the weather and the lightning made it for an interesting show. We had Guy Derricks join us, and that was when he was waiting till the next day to finish their game with Princeton, which they did finish, and they did win 28-14. So a big win for Riverdale to start the season. A lot of interesting results from Friday. Rock Ridge holding on and coming back to beat Kewanee. Kewanee was 0-9 last year. I think much better this year, but an interesting result. Mercer County got a big victory. Erie Prophetstown got a big win at home against Monmouth Roseville. Quincy had a walk-off field goal. Geneseo had a walk-off field goal. A bunch of great stuff happened on Friday night. So if you missed that, go back and check out the Instant Reacts podcast with Greg Armstrong, Mitch Stormer, myself, several other people. Kevin Core joined us this week, which was awesome as well. So go check that out. We'll talk a lot more high school football throughout the week. It is the week 1 coming up on Friday for the Iowa side of the river. It's headlined by Pleasant Valley at Bettendorf. That's the plan. We'll be at Bettendorf's Tuville Stadium on Friday getting ready for Bettendorf versus Pleasant Valley coming up on Friday evening. Should be a huge game, so we'll look forward to that and preview that on Friday from Tuville Stadium as well. So a lot to get to when it comes to high school football throughout this week. Excited to let you guys know Nest Guests will be back real soon. We're going to venture into the high school ranks with that as well. Looking to start that next week. So hopefully we get that up and going next week. It should be. We're going to have some picks for high school, the college slate, which gets going real soon. And then obviously some NFL stuff as well. Mark Nessler, a legend here in the Quad Cities, brought it back last year. Great result. Great response from you guys. Really, really appreciative of Hungry Hobo for supporting that, being the exclusive sponsor of the Nest Guests contest. And we'll be doing that segment each and every week from Hungry Hobo. Gives me a great excuse to go to Hungry Hobo one more time throughout the year, or the week, I should say. It's usually a couple times a week anyways, so it gives me a chance to add another one on. So looking forward to those things coming up as well. We are less than 2 weeks from college football, Iowa, Illinois, those types of things. We'll continue to preview that. We were going to have Pat Anger kick off the week like we will eventually do on Mondays coming up here real soon. He had a few things going on. The first day of school. over on the Iowa side for a lot of kids. So we let him off the hook. We'll have him on Wednesday and talk with Pat on Wednesday about life, but also Iowa football and those types of things. But maybe Little League World Series as well. They play Tuesday at 2 p.m. So Pat will give his insight on the Little League World Series and all those kind of things. So Tom Kakert will join us sometime this week as well, and a whole bunch more things that are going on this week. So really excited. Busy time of year, busy week, and appreciative of you guys watching this silly little show each and every day, whether you're listening to it, whether you're watching it on YouTube, whether you are watching it on WHO Plus, whether you're watching it wherever you're watching it, X. We appreciate you guys supporting it. Really excited to welcome Black and Gold Shop this past month. If you're interested in partnering up with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, let us know. We'd love to work with you as well. Reach out to me, but really appreciative of our sponsors and a lot of them now, and we appreciate that, and allows us to do this each and every day as well. So I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with another episode of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo coming up tomorrow, 10 a.m. Be here. We'll see you then.